Go as far as you can to the line until you can push that line a little bit further. Push that line a little bit further. There's nothing wrong with that. But at least you're trying to be you and you're chasing this thing and whatever it might be. So
You're listening to Legacy Through Literacy, where we dissect the philosophy of money one mindset at a time. From uncovering why we settle for our current financial standing to facing the fears that keep us from taking that first crucial step, we tackle the beliefs that are holding you back. Guided by insights from legendary thinkers and today's financial trailblazers, we don't just talk about change, we empower you to own it. This isn't just talk, this is Legacy Through Literacy.
hello, my name's Eddie, and you're listening to Legacy Through Literacy. This is going to be an interesting episode, I guess. The ideas that I had previously, I'm kind of shifting gears just a little bit on what I want to talk about this episode, and I'll reach back to that other one maybe on the next episode. But I had an event that was supporting a local establishment here in town, and everything was pretty well set up, but almost no turnout. So dealing with disappointment, but making good on what was given. This goes back to the gratitude mindset of wealth, having a wealthy mindset. The business owner, I've got a stronger connection with her. She's more than open to let us use the business again. In fact, she does it for the entire community. It's a whole thing that she does with the community, which is an amazing thing. Grand Junction, Colorado, shout out to Cruise Control Kitchen and Cellar. If you are in the area, definitely check them out. Amazing business, amazing, brilliant owner. She was fun to talk to and inspirational. One of the things that I think a lot of us tend to run with is like we give up more when things don't meet our exact expectation rather than to rebuild. It's kind of like the coyote. I always thought the coyote and the roadrunner was kind of an interesting thing because the coyote, he would try everything once. And when it didn't work, he wouldn't come back to it. Very rarely did you see him try the same thing twice. And I don't think I can recall a single time where he ever tried anything 3 times. Like he tries it once, he fails, and he gives up. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that you are combating against the entirety of the world, right? Especially if you're doing a business. Anybody who's ever done sales, anybody who's ever done anything related to trying to build financial wealth or to go away from working a regular 9-to-5 job, anybody who's ever done anything like that, you get distracted by the fact that it didn't meet your expectations. You get distracted or upset that it didn't go exactly to your expectations. And there's no reason that I think anybody should ever really want. I mean, perfection would be great, but let's face it, like the world does not work in a vacuum and it does not work in a perfect bubble. In fact, it's probably one of my biggest things that I try to explain with people is that you don't have the world does not exist with you in the way that you would hope it would, right? Like rarely does truth exist in the realm of your reality or perspective, I guess would probably be the better way to look at it. And if you find yourself surrounded by things that are supposedly true, you have to question how much of that is valid. But that's an entirely different show. It's just something to do with battling cognitive dissonance and trying to look away from being distracted by things out of your control. Like there's certain things that are out of your control and certain things that are not. And I think that we need to focus on the things that we can control. I think all of the greatest plans ever made, you always had to set up contingencies. And I think to a degree, like for me, this show was set up, or my event was set up with the contingency in mind that I would learn no matter what happens. I would take what I experienced, move that forward. And the greatest part about that is I really don't think there's not a whole lot that I feel we did wrong. I think it was more of a scheduling thing. Summer times in Grand Junction is travel time in Grand Junction. There's not a lot of people in town. There's a lot of, so like scheduling, all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of different things that are affecting, you know, potential attendance. And I do have to, like, one thing I was thinking about is that I tend to be a heterodox and when it comes to a lot of different things. And because of that, trying to get inside somebody's head is going to be a trick for me because I don't feel that I think the way a lot of people do. And in that way, I have to kind of devise how I'm going to make this all kind of come together. I was always fond of the idea of Rocky Balboa quote when he says, it's not about how hard you get hit. It's about getting hit and getting back up again. And I think a lot of people need to recognize, and I think we all honestly probably are a lot stronger than we have ever given ourselves credit for. I think we deal with a lot of situations where it's very emotional, very upsetting. We feel defeated. But I think a lot of that is because you end up going to kind of that place of fear and that place of maybe in some cases regret, maybe in some cases defeatism, or fatalism, like it's bound to happen. And I think that you cannot let one instance decide the entirety of your life. Marcus Aurelius says that it's not that our lives are short, but that we live it poorly. And I think that you see that a lot with, especially in today's society, which we've discussed in previous episodes with technology and with, it's kind of the rise of the influencer too, like the rise of social media creators. A lot of this is based on the simple fact that it's a thing now, right? It's a job, and jobs are being shifted by technology and AI. And the only thing left is going to be human creativity and humans' ability to want to kind of become something more than their 9 to 5. And there's nothing wrong. You're going to need that. There's nothing wrong if you enjoy your job and that's something you want to do. I'm definitely not attacking that. Stay there, enjoy it. But if you don't, this is where getting hit is going to happen. And you need to persevere. You need to keep pushing, because if you don't, you will end up exactly where you are, which is a good argument for the fact that you should just try, right? Like, if you don't like what you're doing, but you have an idea about being an entrepreneur and you want to go out and create something, go try it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You'll have to come back to your job. And if most of the time, if you're a good employee, they'll take you back. That most places are okay with, like, bringing back a rehire. And I think that we attach the scarcity mindset that if we don't, something doesn't happen, that we're going to be screwed, and again, we did talk about this with like the idea that there are situations and circumstances when you have like a family. One of the reasons that I came into the oil field and was working 120 hours a week was I had a family to take care of. Why I moved from one side of the state to the other side of the state and uprooted, came over to nothing, and did this here was I had a family. And it's a little different as they're older. They can take care of themselves. So there's not quite as much that we need to, as parents, my wife and I there's not a lot that we need to lean on to be able to take care of them. They're functioning humans. They can take care of themselves to a degree. So the stress isn't quite there as much. But the idea of trying to do something more is always going to be there. I've been chasing different pipelines and dreams for decades to try to do something other, because the feeling of wanting to do something different is there. And I think once we get hit, we turn, and it's like a Roomba. Like you hit that wall and you direct yourself to a different corner of the house. You're like, this is not going to work for me. I can't do this. So what we need to do is adapt. What we need to do is become better than the previous decision, better than the coyote, hopefully better than a Roomba, human ingenuity, human creativity, humans' ability to be inspirational, humans' ability to be motivational, humans' ability to help people think, use their brain, become something more than what society and culture has deemed as a appropriate response to being a good community member. I think being in an act of service is probably one of the biggest things that you can be. And I found this really cool podcast today called Wealth Break, The Wealth Break. Check him out. It's really interesting. He was the one who kind of said that worst case scenario of you trying to go do something that you want to go do is you have to go find another job. Like how many people do you know? Like I know a lot of artists, musicians in the area that they have 4 or 5 jobs to make ends meet. Most of them revolving around their ability, their artistic ability. Singers, dancers, artists, like visual artists, painters, tattoo artists. Like these, I feel bad that they have to kind of struggle in that way. But at the same time, it's like if they love what they're doing and they don't feel like they're missing out on any of that, there's not. You can't hate on that. And I think it's respectful. And I definitely find it motivational in me to see them doing what they love and being as amazing as they are. And there's no reason you can't be that amazing either. There's no reason that you cannot chase after the things you want. Be sensible, right? Like there's no reason to go all in on something and then be concerned that you're going to be homeless. Like don't bet the entire house. I heard something the other day that said, don't invest outside of your capabilities. There's nothing wrong with that. Go as far as you can to the line until you can push that line a little bit further. Push that line a little bit further. There's nothing wrong with that. But at least you're trying to be you and you're chasing this thing and whatever it might be. So remember, get hit, get back up again. I have a quote that I heard or read, before I started doing this that I wanted to leave you with. And I thought it was interesting because it's a Thomas Edison quote. It says, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always just to try one more time." I mean, who knows? It's kind of like that meme where you got the 2 guys mining, and the guy is like, I don't know if I can keep going. And he's literally like one swing away from hitting the gold mine. And he hears the other guy become successful, or he hits the gold mine, and he's like, oh, all the good luck just happens to other people. It's mindset. I'll do another Walter Elliott. Perseverance is not a long race. It is many short races, one after the other. It's a pretty good one too. All right, one more. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. It's a good one. Winston Churchill. Thank you for listening. This is Legacy Through Literacy. You can find our content on our socials at Logos Financial Literacy. I am a licensed insurance broker, life insurance broker here in Colorado and Texas, and who knows where else as business takes me there.